Hello and welcome to this week's track guide on Canada. My name is Fraser, but first of all, some quick facts about the track. We have 14 turns, 2 DRS detection zones, but 3 DRS zones. The first detection zone is just after turn 4, turn 5, which is then leading up to the sector 2 straight off turn 7 and 8. Then the second DRS detection zone, which gives the DRS for the long back straight and the start finish straight, is after turn 9. Concerning strategy, we have the C5, C4, C3 tires, so the softest tires available, which then leads us to a 2-stop because the pit stop is, the pit lane is very short compared to other circuits, as well as the degradation of the tires is quite big, so you can expect at around 25 to 30% that your tires are just going to fall off a cliff. Concerning ERS, you can definitely regenerate some ERS, it's not too much. Rain is also a factor in this race. So I'm going to show you I'm going to talk you through the hot lap right now. After that, the setup, and at the end, you will have the hot lap on its own. Okay, then let's start talking about the lap. For turn 1, you want to take this, grasp it right there as your brake marker, or the red part of the barrier on the right hand side. Brake quite heavily into turn 1. Turn 1 you want to cut as much as possible. You can have the right hand side tires on that white line. I think Codemasters also messed up the track limits on this track, whereas in the tarmac part between the curb and the white line is also counted as the white line. So keep that in mind. I've attached some screenshots of how I did the corners, or how much you can cut the corners from top down, so you can kind of visualize of how much you need to cut. Then turn 1, keep it in third gear. I upshifted to fourth, which I really didn't want to do. I actually wanted to downshift to second because you can actually in second kind of oversteer the car into the right-hander, which then gives you a bit of a better angle on the exit. I didn't do that right there, but yeah. For turn 2, keep it in third or down to second. As I said, with second you can get a bit of oversteer momentum into this corner. With third gear, it's a bit stable. Ideally, you would want to pick up the throttle before this wide pit line right there. Stay towards the inside as the inside is on-cambered. Then go ahead and accelerate. You can keep it in third gear for a bit more drive out of the corner. Obviously, then you are going to lose the car much more easily. Or go up into fourth, and then it's obviously more stable. Very easy to get the power down. Then don't be too eager on the throttle. The more steering angle you put in, the less throttle you're allowed to get away with. So as soon as you're releasing, you can probably see it when you look at the steering wheel and the green acceleration bar, that as soon as I get the car straight, I get more and more on the throttle, especially since you're also going uphill. Your rear has much more weight on it, and it's quite hard to actually keep the rear in check. So just be super mindful, be a bit careful on the throttle right here, as you see, having a bit of oversteer moment as well. Then for turn 3, 50-meter board. As soon as you get on the brakes, you already want to turn in. It's kind of a blind corner right there. Down to fourth gear, you can also keep it in fifth, again, for a bit more stability. Cut as much as possible, again, as in turn 1. Codemasters, I think, just messed up the track limits, so that black part in between the white line and the curb is also still technically on track, compared to some other tracks like Spa and Malmedy. The outside curb, there's also a bit of a gap right there, and you tend to usually get a lot of warnings there, but Codemasters is being inconsistent. I mean, we can't really expect anything else. Then, for turn 4, also cut as much as possible up into fifth gear in between for the extra stability. You take fourth in the first part, so you have a bit more turning. Then try to keep it out of the wall. I had a bit of a rear moment. It's like the rear is, depending on how much speed you carry through, very happy to go around. So try to be very mindful of that, especially in the race. Then turn 5, I believe it is. We go ahead and just take the tightest line possible. to the wall. Obviously, don't clip the grass on the inside. Then turn 6 and 7, very difficult turns. Directly after 100 meter board, you will already want to start braking. Then down to third gear, and you want to even down to second gear, but normally I take third gear because it gives you more stability. In this corner section especially, you need a lot of stability. Then up to third gear, take as much curb right there. You need to line up the middle or like the nose of your car on that red and white curb. Kind of turn into the curb as well, so you don't hit the red and white curb with the left hand side wheel, which then carries you out wide and then messes up your turn 7 and DRS zone. So try to keep your left hand side wheel on that red stuff for as long as possible. Then up to, like a ton of short shifting for turn 7. Very important is looking at the track elevation. As you can see, we can see the racing line here quite clearly, which means this part right here is on-cambered, but as you can see on the corner exit, the track is going uphill. So most likely, you are going to start spinning out right here, where the height of where the track goes up is actually quite high, which means then again we have much more weight on the rear tires. It's very easy to spin, especially with worn tires and overheated tires, since you're going through a fast right-hander and then kind of a slow left-hander and then again into a fast right-hander. So be very mindful. After this like small hill or like small inclination, I think it's called. Uh, Sorry if I'm wrong right there, but after you kind of climbed the small hill right here, after like this black part, 10 or 50 meters, you can actually go full throttle. Then also another tip is that you want to, when you're coming out of this corner, you want to have your steering as straight as possible as well. You can go onto this red and white curb, but at the end, right here, the game is like the wheel, the left hand side wheel kind of clips in there sometimes, so you're gonna lose a lot of time and maybe you will actually spin the car then. Open your DRS. I think we're now coming to turn 8, turn 9. Turn 8, uh, as soon as you see this white line in, or like, I don't know if it even is a white line made by the track or if it's just like a seam of the asphalt. Just before that, we want to start breaking down to fourth gear. Cut as much as possible right here. You can have the left hand side wheel much more to the left. Very important to do that because I kind of messed up here. I didn't cut enough, which then compromised my exit right here, as you can also notice on the delta in a quick second. Inside is on cambered for turn 8. The curb for turn 9 is kind of weird. You need to have your right hand side wheel just on the white line so the cut actually works. The left hand side wheel on the orange part because it gives you a bit more stability. As you can see, the right hand side wheel is on the white line. Then on the exit again, be super careful as we have like a small uphill right here. You can see it on the racing line if you're also in game. You see that the racing line is kind of flat here, and you can kind of see more of the top side of the racing line right here. So there's the small hill just before the virtual flag post. So be mindful of that. Just be a bit more careful on the throttle again. Then after you got over that small hill, you can essentially floor it. Don't try to ride the red and white curb on the outside too much. That also loses you a bit of time. Then the hairpin, just as you see the 100 meter board, that is your brake marker. I kind of missed the braking zone for this one. Onside is a bit uncambered, especially right here. So you want to be a bit more towards the inside, and then it's all about getting the traction down out of slow corner, which you can use this left-hand side part of the track quite well to get your car settled. Then you can kind of ride this red and white curb without any issues. Then for the last years on opening that up, and now you notice that I am only gaining like 100th now, which then leads us to probably the most bullshit corner on the track, I guess. Track limits are super fucking weird. 75 meters is your brake marker. Very important to get the trail braking right, as well as the amount of cut you need. 75 meters or like even 60 meters. Go down to 4th gear. You can see I cut a lot. Like as long as your left-hand side wheel is on the red and white curb, I think you're fine for the first part. For the, like in the screenshots that I will provide, you can actually see that only one tire is on the white line. So it actually should have invalidated me, but I guess that's the last chicane. Then up to 5th gear in between again for a bit more stability. Be very careful. You can see that in between the chicane right here, I'm at 50% throttle, but as soon as I come to the second, I immediately lift off because the car is going to get unsettled because we're mounting this curb quite a lot with the left-hand side wheel. I think this is right on the right borderline-ish on the track limits right here. Then go ahead and just gradually increase the throttle. Get on the throttle as soon as possible though. Obviously you don't want to get into the wall of champions. I actually didn't clip it there, I think. Maybe on the rear, since the rear is a bit bigger, but yeah, that is a lap around Canada. Opening up the DRS, coming home with a 107.9. What I really want to stress you, or like tell you more, so to say, is that you should actually maybe do 1 or 2 laps of Canada in the reverse order, just so you can see how the track elevation is changing, because that is a big part on understanding how this track works. Especially here, turn 6, 7 is super important because nobody actually notices that there is like a small hill right here, which catches a lot of people off guard and leads to the most amount of spins, I think. Then, yeah, we are going to go ahead and I will show you my setup. And after that, I think you're gonna get the hot lap without any commentary. Looking at the setup, it's your box standard esports setup with 9 wings. You can probably go 8-10 wings for the race because you need a bit more rear stability, since the tires tend to go off quite crazy at like 25%, since it's like a 2-stopper. I think the 10 rear wing is going to be a bit better. Then transmission is 156, which feels quite nice in the race as well. Then right, left 009 on the front toe, and rear toe is left. Suspension is 14110 3/7, so quite an oversteery setup. If you have issues with oversteer, then decrease the rear anti-roll bar. The ride height should probably stay the same, since it helps with jumping those curbs in the last chicane, for example. Then brakes 150, and tires are all fully inflated, which means that the front tires give a lot more turn-in, but not as much prolonged grip. So yeah, you should probably just take a couple of psi off for a race, probably like 2 or 3 clicks, and then you should be fine. Okay, that is the setup done with, and yeah. Then thank you for watching this track guide. Hope you enjoyed and learned something from it. I'm Fraser, and I hope we will see each other on the racetrack.